There we are. Well, welcome to the 7 o'clock talk. We're back in Indiana, and it's a whole lot different than last week, that's for sure. Tonight, we're going to discuss the microbiome's response to exercise. We have two studies here tonight, and both are dealing with actually the effects of exercise and how much exercise we need to have and its effects on the body. So, I don't know if they can hear us or not, but they should be able to. I saw where the thing was. So, you were reading, what were you said you were listening to a podcast? Break that podcast down for them real quick.
About the perimenopausal lady?
Yes.
So I was listening to a podcast, and there was a lady on there that struggled with weight loss most of her life and started gaining weight during perimenopause and could not lose it, but she started going to the gym, and so she was really working hard and couldn't figure out why she couldn't lose weight when she was working that hard. Anyway, she had 3 different things. Now, I don't know that she was a trainer. I don't know what her credentials were. This was just a person that had figured it out on herself. But it was pretty simple. And for her, it was pretty simple, especially with the effort that she put in for years. And that was, she drank her actual weight in water by half. So if you're 200 pounds, then you would drink 100 ounces of water. So, and she did that religiously, even when she didn't want to. She made herself. And so then the second thing is she, whatever her goal weight in her mind was. So her goal weight was 145. So she started eating protein, 145 grams per day. And then the very minimum she said anybody should eat is 100, but for her, it was 145 grams. And then, what's the other one?
Sleep.
Oh, sleep. She has to sleep 8 hours a day. So that seems, now I don't know what 145 grams of protein looks like, but water is hard to drink sometimes. But once you start drinking your water, you actually like water, and then you start craving the water. So that gets easier. But that's a lot of water for a lot of people, especially when they drink sips. But anyway, so she quickly made it to her goal weight. She's 148, and she got there fairly quickly in the big scheme of things. So it wasn't anything crazy, didn't cost any money other than food, and she was doing good for herself.
And so she figured it out for herself. And that's where you can't go to a doctor. There's no doctor in the world that's going to be able to sit down with you and in 20 minutes go, this is what you need to lose weight. Unless they're giving you fen or they're giving you weight loss drugs.
But that is a temporary fix, because the second you go off those drugs, the weight comes back, and you have to be very careful with those things because they will absolutely destroy your heart valves.
So unless they're doing that, it's just not going to happen. Now, with that being said, I want to look at what exercise does for your microbiome, because, and I'll cover at the end how much exercise there is or what exercises you should be doing. But when they looked at this, when people did the amount of prescribed exercise, it started to take that ratio of Bacteroides to Firmicutes that you've heard me talk about. It started to make that ratio good so that you're less inflammatory. And it causes the body to become sensitive to insulin again. So if you're one of these people that has high insulin levels, and if you're gaining weight and you can't figure out why, get your insulin tested. I really don't care what your blood sugar is. And I know that sounds very hypocritical or very very brash,
Well, they both matter. One matters more in a
but
lot of people, right?
the last stage of diabetes is high blood sugar. Your insulin is actually the very first indicator. High insulin levels are the very first indicator of metabolic syndrome, diabetes, and those types of things.
So tell them, like, so if you're running blood sugars of 90 or 100 and you're just rocking and rolling right there, those look great. But how much insulin are you dumping into your system to keep them there?
Yep. Because insulin is what regulates that. So that's very important to know. And so if you do have very high insulin levels and you are just rocking and rolling along and you don't know how to get them down, exercise is one way to do that, because your muscles act as an independent glucose sink, and exercise helps lower blood sugar. Acutely, it raises it. But more importantly, those short chain fatty acid microbiome bugs start to proliferate in that type of an environment. Now, acutely, so this means short term. When you exercise really hard, short term, you do create an environment of leaky gut. You also create a pro inflammatory environment for the muscles. That's how the muscles grow. So, short term, you're going to get these things. Long term, you get the benefits. And those short chain fatty acid, that doesn't sound important to you. You're like, well, what's a short chain fatty acid produce? These are the things that are your butyrate, your glycine. These are the things that help your cell health. These are the things that heal your gut. These are the things that are precursors to your hormones and your amino acid. They are what you want to have in your gut.
And your microbiome starts to change within 48 to 72 hours of changing things.
Yep. And there's this wonderful little bug in us. Well, it's not a bug. There's a thing called lipopolysaccharide, LPS. This is a very bad player in us. And when you exercise, you start to create the things that attach to the lipopolysaccharides and get them out of your body. Not only that, but for those of you who exercise regularly, you probably notice a pattern. And a lot of people, like when we were going to the gym in the morning, a lot of people would start to exercise and then they'd have to go to the bathroom. So this helps with motility. So exercise does so much for the body, so much for the microbiome, and it's all positive. Now, if you're really, really out of shape, really, really ill, then yes, you have to take this in short bursts, and you can't just go jump in at hour-long exercises and killing it, because that's going to cause problems for you. But you can work up to it slowly. And then you can do things like take protease or proteolytic enzymes. If you take proteolytic enzymes, that just helps keep that muscle soreness as you start to work out down. The other thing that's an added bonus to exercise, and I want to hit on that real quick, is exercise is being shown to slow neurodegeneration. And why is this? Because exercise does several things. One of the very most important things it does is it increases a hormone in us called BDNF. And BDNF is brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This is miracle grow for your cells. So, Jess, what is something we have seen most recently with one of our male patients who has started to exercise again?
Oh, wow. I'm trying.
I
think his cell health went up more than a point, not maybe 2. I don't think quite 2, but he went from low normal to smack dab in a sweet spot in less than 2 weeks. And he was only exercising once or twice a week. But I think that was I've never seen that before. And he was also, he added sleep. He slept 10 hours, and he was usually getting between 4.5 and 6 hours a night.
Well, regularly. 4.5. 6 was a good night for
But
him.
he slept for 10 hours straight. His cell health went straight up, and he wasn't really feeling any different yet, but we are expecting beautiful things the next time we see
Well,
him.
didn't you just say you touched base with him?
I did, but we haven't talked to him yet, but his spouse said he was feeling great.
So exercise increases BDNF. It helps the cells themselves heal, because remember when I was talking about those short chain fatty acid producing microbiome bugs, those proliferate, and that's what helps the cell itself heal. And what this study showed was that it increases mitochondrial function. So the mitochondria, which are the power plants of your cells, that starts to kick in. So not only does it help the microbiome, but it helps the part of the cell that produces the energy and the ATP that everything runs on. It helps make those more proliferate. The other thing is it also increased circulating neurotrophins like BDNF and mitochondrial biogenesis. Brain volume actually increased in the patients. Now, these patients were ill. These patients did have shrinkage of the brain, and as they started to exercise, it got better. But if you're healthy, you can still benefit from the BDNF and the short chain fatty acid producing bugs. So to get back to how much exercise do you need to have? And I don't know why everybody thinks when I talk about exercise, most of my functional medicine patients, when I start to discuss exercise with them, they all think that they've got to go get a gym membership and become a gym rat, and that's just where they're going to live, and they're going to be miserable and sore, and they're going to get swole, and the women think they're going to get huge. So basically, from sedentary behavior to athlete and gut impacts, to get those positive impacts, basically they recommend at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise, up to 300 minutes of exercise. So if you really want to kill it, 300 minutes is basically 5 hours. So an hour a day of walking. And then twice a week, you really need to hit the muscle strengthening exercises. And I wouldn't recommend doing the muscle exercises back to back on back to back days, because you get the most gains when you split it up. But that's it. I mean, that's really, when you look at a week, that's really not a lot to ask someone to do to get these benefits. And think about this. Would you rather exercise for an hour, get outside and do stuff to change your microbiome, to increase your acromantia, to increase short chain fatty acid producing bugs? Or do you want to spend $100? Acromantia is $100 a bottle right now. Do you want to spend $100 a month for one nutrient that you're probably going to have to take for 3 months to try to get it to seed and take hold? Or would you rather go outside and walk for an hour? And when we say walk, when you start out, walking is going to be enough. But once you can sit there and walk an hour or walk for however long without anything, you got to up it to break a sweat. So do you have to run? No, but you can put weight on. You can carry a backpack. She carries hand weights. Those are the things that you can do. So you have to make that decision to do that for yourself, and you can do it for free, or you can take supplements, and supplements still are not going to give you all the benefits that exercise is. So,
Including the fact if you're getting outside walking, you're getting fresh air and sunshine.
yep. So that is how just a few of the ways that exercise benefits the body. And you don't have to be doing CrossFit. You don't have to go do some big challenge. Just go ride a bike for an hour. You just basically want to break a sweat. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.